I'm gonna try to do this video as best as I can. I didn't really feel like writing down what exactly that I was feeling. I just felt like talking about it with you guys. And it's been a while. And my microphone is broken. And we're just purely going off of vibes. I'm in a completely different country. And I will definitely a little nervous, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while since I've had to do something like this. It's been, now there's construction. I don't know how long that will go for, but, I'm just going through a lot. I've been, trying to, I'm not gonna bullshit with y'all. Honestly, I didn't want to stay in Los Angeles anymore. I was kind of just really sick and tired of everything that I was going through. And I had basically collected some funds in order to buy a ticket to leave the country. And now here I am. And there's been a lot of difficulties here, as well as a lot of beautiful things that come with the country and come with the place and the things that it has to offer. You know, it's beautiful here. There's so much nature, and I'm here with my family, and I didn't grow up with that side. So it's a lot of new experiences that I'm going through at this moment. It's new for everybody. I didn't really know how to treat this vacation. I didn't really know how to treat this trip. For me, I feel like it was a middle ground between wanting to leave the country, because what I was experiencing and going through in Los Angeles was honestly really boring. And for me, it was boring because people didn't want to, I wasn't finding aligned, authentic people to work with that wanted to either pay me or do some sort of collaborative service and actually follow through on that and be serious. The places that I did go to that were accessible were starting to become, I guess, repetitive, and it was the same people, and I really wanted to branch out and to get to know others. But I think that I limited myself into really only staying in the Los Angeles area instead of branching out to other cities. And so I know that it won't be my last time going to LA, and it's not my last time probably living there, but for right now, I didn't want to stay there anymore. And I wanted to really focus on not just not everything else, not worrying about, the food that is in the US, not worrying about, things that were outside of my control, like the toxicity in foods, like the toxicity in the environment and drug use and things of that nature. And that all still exists here, but at the same time, I am not surrounded by it in a way that it is heavily encouraged. Especially because the areas that I was surrounded by or in, they specifically, like literally almost everybody did them, and I couldn't really find a space where I could just feel comfortable and just feel, I don't know, I just didn't like it. I didn't want to stay there. I don't have any other explanation to give anybody, nor should I even feel like I have to. But I know I didn't want to stay there anymore, and I didn't like it. I didn't like what I was going through, so I decided to book a ticket and leave. And so now here I am, and I've been kind of experiencing difficulties with not knowing how to navigate public transportation or how to really branch out without having a car, because I didn't really come here with many funds either. I literally came with all the money that I had to buy the ticket, and now I'm here, and I only had a few dollars to my name when I came here. Try to develop something before I leave or return to the US if I do. And I really have just been just exploring different avenues of life, focusing on things that are more, I guess, natural, natural ways of living, like going on more walks, being in presence more often. When I tell you guys my phone literally hasn't worked, like my phone doesn't really work, and I feel like for me that's a blessing that I don't even really want my phone to be able to work because I know that I was on it way too often in the US and I was on it way too often in general. Um, the only reason why I would ever want to have my phone on is for like the GPS and stuff like that, but in reality, I don't really want my phone to work. It's really only working when it's connected to Wi-Fi. So it's like there's a lot of things that I've had to adapt to quite quickly while since I've been here. And would I say that it's easy? No, it's not. Would I say that it's better than the US? I feel like everything has its benefits and its cons. I feel like everything has its good parts and its bad parts. And there's not going to be any situation or anything that I'm going to do or go through that is completely good or completely bad. So in that, I have to basically find the best in the situation that I was in at that moment. You know, I'm here, and I think that being here was important for me, not of because it is a super rich and lavish area, no, but it's more so because of the meaning that it has to me. You know, this is the origin of where my my ancestry in some way. I got to be able to see basically where I grew up. Well, not where I grew up, apologies. Where my mom was born and the type of lifestyle that they lived in El Campo, which is basically completely rural. And it was an experience, to say the least, while living out there. There's not necessarily running water 24/7, and the food they all get completely from the land, and they have to, you know, manually, you know, turn on the stove. We had to shower outside or shower with, you know, buckets and tubs of big garbage cans of water. And there was mosquitoes because the house isn't fully sealed, and there's just these little things that come with living in El Campo that I never had to experience when I was in the United States. And I've been comparing a lot of things to the US while I've been here. Just basically seeing how different it is and whether or not it is something that I genuinely see myself living or experiencing for the moment being. Just because it's different. And I don't know if I want to live here or not. And I think that there's a lot of other things that I want to figure out before I really feel confident or secure about wanting to live here or stay here. So, yeah. It's also really never quiet. I honestly don't know if you guys can hear me with all of this noise in the background, but it's honestly really never quiet. It's either the roosters crowing in the backyard, or there's the motorcycles that are passing through. It'll be the construction that's happening across the street, or it'll be some baby crying or dogs barking. You know, just the usual things of living in a Caribbean country. But for the most part, the food has been absolutely amazing. The music and nightlife that I've experienced thus far, I feel like I would have to experience more than what I've experienced thus far in order to really have a good idea of how much I like it, because the first few places that I went to, they weren't really fit for me. They were really fit for, you know, my family member that had taken me out, but I tend to have more so of an eccentric or older vision when it comes to, I guess, going out to the club. I'm not so much of a person that likes to sit down and drink and smoke or whatever and just really listen to music and do nothing. Like if I'm going out to go to the club or la discoteca as they call it out here, I'm going to dance because I want to dance. But there are some places that I went to, and I guess they're very similar to LA culture, where there's people that are doing the same thing with the sections, and they're just sitting down and not doing anything. That's very similar. And I would say that I definitely didn't like it. I didn't like that type of style. And either way, because of the fact that I am not going to go somewhere to just sit down and do nothing. I'm going to dance. So I ended up finding my own way to dance anyways. And when I tell you guys I have barely been on my phone in this entire trip, I really have barely been on my phone to the point where I've barely even taken photos or videos. There's very few photos and videos that I have because it's not so much of a focus for me to create content and be, active and show all of what's going on at this moment. Because I think that this trip was more for myself and more for me. Obviously, this trip is something that I would want to share, how my experience went. But I don't think that it's so important for me to be on my phone and documenting every single thing at the moment. And I don't really know what I want to do in terms of traveling and work and how to fund this lifestyle because I still am figuring that out. I think for me that it's been more so focused on just really disconnecting from everything that I was overly worried about in the US. And mind you, I've only been here for 10 days and I don't leave until March. So it's like all these things that I had gone through and experienced while I was in the US, I had to basically take a whole decompression period after all of that stuff happened, and I didn't even think about it, but it's only literally been 10 days. And so with that, I think that for the rest of my time here, I want to start to separate and to focus more on doing things on my own time and on my own doing, just because I appreciate not only my solitude, but I appreciate my ability to basically create experiences in new spaces and venture out into unknown territory and not really have any idea of how it's going to go. I think the biggest issue for me right now is transportation because literally everywhere that you have to go is not 10 minutes or less. No, it's like 30, 40, 50 minutes to an hour to go to any place that you really want to go to, especially like the beaches or the clubs or just outside public events that you want to visit. And that is difficult because I don't have a rental car, nor do I have any way of transportation, nor do I understand the public transportation. But the thing is that I found out that Ubers exist here, which is good. And I would like to use Ubers as well, which honestly, when in comparison to US dollars, Ubers are extremely cheap. Like when I'm telling you they are extremely cheap, they are extremely cheap. And, I don't really understand everything that is here or what's going on for me to have a complete picture about how to navigate a new country with a different currency and different economics and all of that stuff, because there's difficulties, but there's also a lot of positives when I'm able to put the aligned plans into action so that I can create the life that I want for myself at this moment, at least. Because yeah, it's really nice being here, but at the same time, I don't like being here without not being able to provide for myself financially, and I don't like to rely on anybody else. So, and the thing is that there's not really government assistance here. That's not really a thing. So I'm like extra unsure of how am I able to get funds, which literally you have to work. You have to have some sort of job in order to do that. Either that or you just have a pay person that someone just gives you money, which that'll be great. But, there's always risks and always a lot of different sides to that because not everything is free, especially here. Everybody's expecting some sort of money for everything that you do here, which is something that I'm not used to, nor do I really agree with, but it's how they operate. And especially because I don't look like I'm from here, I definitely look like I am from the US. So there's been a lot of difficulties related to that as well. But yeah, it hasn't been easy, especially because I'm not perfectly fluent in Spanish, but at the same time, I'm even less fluent in Dominican Spanish. And if you guys don't know, there's a whole entire different, I guess, native tongue with the language that there's slang and there's mixes of different words and languages into Dominican Spanish. And so it's like you have to know Spanish really well and then also use that to apply the new language that you pick up through being in Dominican Republic. So I'm confused a lot sometimes, but I am very grateful for the patience that I do get because my Spanish isn't perfect. I will tell you guys that for sure. And my Spanish is really broken. So if you were to meet somebody who is not fluent in English and they spoke to you with their accent and with very broken English, you wouldn't really understand them very much. You can for the most part, but it takes some time and configuration for you to really understand and figure out what they're saying. So I've been experiencing that as well here, which has also really filtered out who is actually understanding and patient and accepting of me, and the fact that I don't know everything in Spanish and who isn't. And that really helps me gauge of who I should spend my time around or not, because it's not easy. It's really not easy, and there's been a lot of difficulties, just to say the least. But anyway, it's a lot of emotions. I feel like whenever I'm out in nature more often, I tend to be more sensitive or more emotional, especially when it comes to being with the family that I haven't grown up with. There's a lot. There's a lot, There's a lot of complexities, and there's a lot of differences in people, and it's just a whole entire different culture. I had been living completely alone and basically, doing my own thing and being on my own and taking care of my own self for the past, 5-6 months. So not being able to be fully independent again in the way that I want to really has been, the harder transition. Not that I haven't been able to, do what I want when I want, but it's more so the fact that I had a system of how to navigate things in the US, but here there's not. There's apps and things that you can use to help you navigate around. It's really more so if you have the ability to, then it's a lot easier. But if you have to do something such as use public transportation, it's more so you got to know someone to help you get around, because you can't rely on apps. You can't rely on just basic things that you see on the internet, because they don't really function in so much of an internet way. It's not so modernized as compared to the US, where they have these apps and they have people giving live updates and information on the bus routes and everything's all laid out and perfect for you, and it's not like that here. So that's one thing that I will say has been more so annoying to deal with, because nobody here that I'm staying with uses public transportation. They have cars, and I don't have access to a car. So, yeah. And I haven't really been able to talk to really anybody about this or about all of these things that are going on because I speak English fluently and more better than my Spanish. And so it's like I can't really communicate all that's going on, nor do I feel comfortable, unfortunately, communicating what's going on with anybody here, nor do I have friends or really people that I can feel like I can really talk to about certain things as well as that they would understand. So I think that's something that I really want to develop is building, I guess, a community or just building my relationships here while I'm here of who I can talk to, who I can confide in, who I can connect with that will help me, get around the place and explore different areas and really get me connected with communities that I am a part of or am passionate about and really just spend more time with them. And that requires research, that requires time to figure it out, that requires time to look those things up because, again, it's not like the US. Like compared to, for example, in LA, there's a page for every single thing that people like to do. So if you like to do poetry, if you like to read poetry, write poetry, there's a whole Instagram that's curated to promote these specific pages in order to not only get people to be more informed about what's going on in the area and the specific different areas that are around LA, but at the same time, there's different groups that will promote other pages and promote other businesses so that people will go to their businesses or go to their events and support them because they have similar values or similar things that they like to do for fun or for, pastime type things. So it's like those things from what I know and from what I've seen thus far don't really exist. So it's really who you know and who can get you to the right place. So yeah, I don't think this is gonna be a long one, but I think that's it for my video so far. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about how I navigate life in Dominican Republic for the moment being, please let me know in the comments below, and feel free to follow my page if you would like to. Feel free to follow my page for more content, and yes, I know that I haven't posted in a really long time, and I don't really have any explanation for that other than just not wanting to make videos for that moment. But I don't know if I'm back, but this is just a little tidbit for y'all for the update and for the transition being since I'm in a new place. And I am really starting to enjoy this travel style type content or type activity more often. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you watched into the end, I love you and I hope that you have an amazing, beautiful day. And until next time, peace.